Hello everyone and welcome to today's session, Cybersecurity Skills, Essential for Combating Cyber Risk Today. I'm Shilpa Goswami and I'll be your host for the day. We would like to go over a few house rules for our attendees. The session will be in listen only mode and will last for an hour, out of which the last 10 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A. If you have any questions during the webinar to organizers or our speakers, use the Q&A window. Also, if you face any audio video challenges, please check your internet connections or you may log out and log in again. An important announcement for certificate of attendance. Participants need to attend the complete webinar to qualify for the certificate. Also, should fill in the survey form, which will be sent in the attendees thank you email and answer correctly the 3 multiple choice questions based on the webinar. The certificate of attendance shall be sent to you within the next 5 to 7 working days after the event. Our speaker for today's session, Amol Kodak. He is associated with Medtronic as an engineering director, R&D and head for the cardiovascular portfolio at Medtronic Engineering and Innovation Center in Hyderabad. He is focused on building patient-centric, medtech, connected care solutions and contributing to advancing the Medtronic mission to elevate pain, restore health and extend life. He is a senior engineering and technology leader with rich industry experience and establishing and leading global R&D organizations, driving technology strategies and digital transformation plans. He is passionate about developing innovative products and technology solutions that significantly improve the quality of human life and community around us. Amol has leadership experience in building and heading various product and technology groups, center of excellence, especially in software, IoT cloud, connectivity, cybersecurity, and data science. An industry leader, he has built and launched innovative products for medtech, aerospace, vehicle, industrial IoT, and the electrical sector. As part of industry and academic affiliations, he regularly participates as a speaker or panelist for global seminars and academic events. Without any further delay, I would hand over the session to you, Amol.
Thank you so much, Shilpa, for the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the wonderful audience from around the globe. We have, a lot of participants joining us today, so welcome to webinar. I'm Amol Kodak, and I'll be speaking on this very interesting and critical topic of cybersecurity skills essential for combating cyber risk today. So I'm looking forward for a very engaging and interactive Q&A sessions towards the end with all of you. Now, before we start, I would like to put a disclaimer that the thoughts and opinions expressed in this webinar are of my own and do not represent the organization that I work for or the organizers. Right? So with that said, let's get started. Yes, today we have our audience, which is a mix of experienced security professionals, budding and aspiring cybersecurity professionals from various domains, as well as students. So I've designed this webinar to cover a few basic topics as well as few advanced topics, right, accordingly. All right, so I'm moving to next slide, and this is the agenda for today's presentation webinar, right? How the industry is shifting towards mobile, cloud, IoT, right? And how it is driving the change in security posture or cybersecurity landscape. That we will talk about that. Then we will move towards the security domains and skills that professionals need to have to manage this risks, right? We'll also touch base briefly upon the evolution of AIML in the area of security, right? Followed by the key takeaways. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the industry shift first, and then we will move to the changing security landscape. Right now, again, most of you are aware of what is IoT, but in Internet of Things, devices gather and share information directly with each other and cloud, right? Making it possible to collect, record, analyze new data streams faster and more accurately. Now we have seen IoT revolutionizing the consumer industrial world, right? We have seen smart TVs, we have seen smart lighting solutions, and now as simple as the doorbells are becoming IoT enabled, right? Then we have smart factories and intelligent cars that sense wear and tear and self-schedule the maintenance. The shift that is caused due to the incorporation of the mobile, cloud, and IoT technology has created a new frontier for both cyber criminals and the security teams to discover gaps and vulnerabilities. Now let's understand the needs, right? What is driving this change and the how these threats are becoming more advanced every day, right? So if you take some example, right? So if you look at the year 2022, more than 4,100 publicly disclosed data breaches happened, right? And which approximately equated to 22 billion records being exposed. So this is data available. Uh, that is the impact that is happening. This is in 1 year, right? Then, then we have institutions and businesses of all size relying heavily on computerized data to perform their daily needs. The threats to data securities are increasing rapidly. So apart from the continuous change in technology that is transforming, right, the digital infrastructure, actors are also ramping up their efforts by incorporating novel and new technologies in their attempts. These attacks are coming in different forms, different ways, right? Including like phishing scams, which we are aware of. There are ransomware attacks happening, man in the middle attacks, or the denial of service attacks, right? So if you look at some examples more recently, right? And these are like very recent examples. So last month in December 22, right? So Uber suffered data breach pertaining to 77,000 employees' personal information, right? That leakage happened. Now there was basically a third-party vendor MDM related attack happened, which compromised this data. 1 month prior, in November 22, again, an unidentified hacking group publicly threatened Medibank, right, which is the health insurance provider in Australia, claiming to possess data on 9.7 million current and former customers. And the hackers said that they would publish the data within 24 hours if the demands were not met. I'm sure some of you might have read about all these details. So Medibank, as you might know, ultimately refused to pay the ransom. This was a ransomware attack, and then the attackers leaked the patient information in the dark web. Right? So hence, we need to continuously evolve the security posture, right? As these attacks are becoming more advanced every day, and how do we change our security measures towards that? Now, I'm just giving you some more data. Let's look at the scale and how IoT devices, connected devices are projected to grow. Right? It's about scale of the problem. So one thing is advancement in technology, and let's look at the scale part of it. So if you look at this report from one of the sources, right, the Business Wire has published this from Strategy Analytics Research Group. Uh, it talks about, it predicts that by 2025 we will have around 38 billion devices that would be connected, and the devices that are connected would grow to 50 billion by 2030, right? And this race to manufacture IoT devices has also caught attention, obviously, of cyber criminals, and the number of attacks will continue to increase year over year, with a particular focus on these environments, right? So which you can see on the uh, charts. Now this is about scale, right? Let's look at again how this industry shift towards cloud IoT, mobile. is also adding to complexity. So, there is a combination of IoT and computing and the cloud computing and the mobile computing, right? These are adding new paradigms, right, with the combination of technologies to be addressed. So we need to understand, right, how the combination of cloud and mobile is leading to mobile cloud computing paradigm that you need to address, right? So it's not just about scale, but also the complexity, also speed. And if you see a right in the image on the right hand side, which is sourced from Science Direct, it is becoming the landscape is becoming more complex, challenging, right? With AI and blockchain and new technology areas emerging. Right? So this is what is happening. So I would urge the security professional, right, to keep themselves updated as the technology landscape is updating. Not just look at today, but also beyond today, how things are changing. All right. Now let's move to the next one, right? Where we'll talk about the so we got so far, we talked about the changing IoT landscape and how the number of devices are growing and all, how it is impacting the security posture, security landscape, right? How it is evolving. And again, I want to tell you that this is not an exhaustive list. This is more, a list for your reference, but there are more things that could happen or are happening, right? So so let's look at this, some of these, landscape areas and how should for our consideration. So attack surfaces expand, right? Increasing sophisticated tools, attack methods, right? These are factors which are adding up. Then there's a greater reliance on, technology products and services, the greater availability of skills, the personnel and the finances to drive cyber attacks, right? Software releases are happening much faster with added functionality, so that is also being looked at when the attack surface, when I say attack surface is expanding, right? And their new hardware development, right? And obviously IoT devices are the examples. That is what is happening, right? So when we talk about attack surfaces, and I'll not cover everything, but maybe some areas, right? If you look at the targeted attack enhanced by smart device data, that is understood, and we talked about it, right? That attackers can access information for tailored and sophisticated attacks. When we talk about the disinformation campaigns, right, with the social media playing a big role, there are deep fake attacks that are happening that can manipulate communities for geopolitical reasons, right, as well as for monitoring. So those are different kinds of attacks. Then digital supply chain risks, right? So more integrated components, right, and services from third-party suppliers, partners. These are leading to novel and unforeseen vulnerabilities, right, with compromising on both supplier side, customer side, right. And as you know, SBOM is evolving, right, software bill of materials more from this side as a solution. Now, and then yes, everyone today talks about AIML, how the integration of AIML is also being utilized in both ways, right? So manipulation of AI algorithms as well as the training data can be used to enhance some of these nefarious activities, creation of disinformation, fake content, right, or collecting sensitive informations, right. Uh, some people also call it as data poisoning, right, which can be done with the integration of AI and ML, right. So these are few of the changing landscape, right, with the evolution of technologies, social media integrations that are happening now with the pandemic happening and a lot of companies either going to remote or hybrid model. There has been an explosion on BYOD, right? Mobile devices. So mobile technology has evolved rapidly. At the same time, there is enhanced information that is available on mobile. Now, companies and employees both are embracing BYOD policies, right, as they foster greater flexibility. Now, these devices uh, often connect to corporate network, thereby expanding the attack surface, which we talked about, and also creating significant risk of sensitive information. Now, there is one research, right? So, despite of the concern, one research shows that the uh, significant number of organizations, and they mentioned around 30%, have adopted BYOD without using any protection against malware. So as you can see, while there is a people are embracing BYOD, but the measures might not always be in place. So yeah, and then there are like rise of digital surveillance, right, and the loss of privacy, facial recognition, digital surveillance on internet platforms, digital identities. They are becoming target for the cyber criminals. So these are some of the ways how the overall security landscape is evolving, right, and changing, and this also driving again, as we discussed, need, right, to for cyber security professionals, right, to keep their skills changing, evolving, and which can along with the landscape. Okay, so now so far we have looked at the need, right, why part, then the industry shift, right, on technologies, and we talked about multiple technologies, focusing on IoT, cloud, mobile, and the evolving technologies, right? How it is changing the security landscape, right? Now let's move to the next part of our conversation, which is the security domains, the skills to combat the cyber security risks, right? So again, I have put few of these areas, right, from uh, the typical cybersecurity domains you can say in organizations, right, like broader 6 to 7 categories. But this is not an exhaustive list, and the representations may vary, right, from organization to organization, but it should give you a general or indicative idea, right? So these are the areas like the security operations, security architecture. Some people would combine this into security engineering, right? The physical security of your assets, risk management, right? Then the governance piece, which is again a bigger one, frameworks and standards, right? And then threat intelligence. So these are the domains as a cybersecurity professional. When you think of, right, like broader level, these would be treated as domains, right? Um, and then there are respective tasks that can be categorized. Let me go to next slide. So if you look at security operations, right? Um, it talks about vulnerability management, the security information and event management, incident response, active defense, right? A part of the SOCs, right? So that's on the security operation. When you talk about security architecture as a domain, the cloud security, the data protection, the network design, access control, these all things would fall under this, right? And I'm not covering each and every domain in detail, but when you talk about risk assessment, right? We talked about vulnerability scanning, penetration testing, right? The source code scanning. These are the areas. Now, when we talk about frameworks, there are different frameworks, as all of or many of you might be aware of, right? So the NIST standards and the ISO standard of 27001, the CVSS. These are areas, right? Both from the frameworks and standard standpoint. Threat intelligence, both external threat intelligence, internal threat intelligence, right? These that's how you can think of, right, from the domains and the tasks that could be categorized in these domains, right? A rough idea for you to understand. So now, let me move forward, right, with this. Now these are like domains and the tasks, and then how these are related to the skills, right? Um, so if you look at, again, there are different ways you can represent the same information. This is how I would like to at least represent for the benefit of the audience, right? So when we talk about cybersecurity skills and career paths, right? Again, representation can vary. More details could be added, but look at the foundational skills, right? If someone needs to have that foundational skills, what she or he should have. Cybersecurity concepts, right? Networking basics should be strong. Communication protocols, right? Both wired, wireless, and nowadays, the IoT protocols are coming up, right? So industrial communication protocols, so many communication protocols. And as you have that knowledge, you'll understand how the attacks can happen. Web servers, obviously, and then OS operating systems, right? In the different operating systems, especially Linux. Also, you want to try some tools, programming knowledge, basics. These are some of these foundational skills. And then, if you want to go further, secure coding, right, is something that can help you to build a strong foundation, right? Um, now. As you build these foundational skills, right? Again, now you can choose different paths, right? And the paths could be, so typically, it could be technical career path, management and leadership career path, right? But from where those roles would evolve, right? So if you look at security testing, what you need to know is the vulnerability assessment and the penetration testing, and it could be on, you can be a good penetration testers or on applications or mobile and cloud, right? So you should have good skills on network and infrastructure security. If you want to become a threat analyst, or threat analysis is an area of interest, malware analysis, threat intelligence, forensic analysis, right? How do you develop exploit? These are the areas or skills you should build on. Now, from the governance or audit standpoint, there are some paths which can make you auditor if you are, if you build skills on the regulations and standards and the regulatory compliance and enforcement. So these are some of the skills and areas where you can build your expertise into. Now, on the right hand side, again, moving there, right? So we talked about security testing and you want security architecture. If you look at those dark blue boxes, you want to call that a security engineering, we could call it like that. But yeah, the architecture piece, systems architecture, someone has to be good at that. Threat modeling, which that's an area which you can build. Cryptography, cloud security, as we discussed, with the evolution of IoT and cloud, how you are, how from the architecture and how you are good at cloud security, IoT security. So these are some of the skills that you can build and think of, right? Now there is also the security operations area, which we talked about on the earlier slide. How do you protect, how you detect, recovery, prevention are all part of the SES security operations group, including vulnerability management, incident response, right? And the security operations center would be part of. So this is one again stream if you want to get deeper into this. And yes, there's governance piece, right? Different policies, standards, how you build the SOPs, right? The laws and regulation, how strong you are. And if you want to pursue the senior management path, leadership path, right? This is an area where you can get into. So in summary, skills can be categorized as foundational and the areas that I have spoken about. At the bottom, I have shown some certifications as an example, but again, I'm not promoting any of these certifications, but these are some of the certifications, and you can choose whatever suits you. Uh, But yeah, a technical job you're interested in technical career path, focus on security engineering, security operations, right? Access management, security ops, ethical hacking. You're looking at the management, leadership role, governance, oversight roles, compliance, third-party risk assessments, right? These are the areas, right? You can get into, and then there are like focus roles, right? Like security architect, penetration testing, security analyst, and these are the skills that would help you uh, get into that. Now CISO obviously is a role in leadership where people, or if those who are on the management career ladder wants to get into that, to understand all the stakeholders. So there are not just technical part, also the soft part of your job which are needed, right? And manage along with your technical. So again, those are needed for most of the or all of the roles, but these are various ways. When you look at this slide, you can understand, you can go into these areas, not an exhaustive list, but an indicative list, and you can go deep, really deep into these areas. Okay, so we talked about the skills and the career paths, right? Let me also give you, a brief on, apart from those skills, right? The AIML evolution is happening, right? And nowadays, as you see, so many tools and websites which are coming up, right? Which are offering various ways you can do things, right? Like Chat GPT, and there's so many other tools. So and people are looking at those, right? So similarly, the landscape for cyber threat is it growing, right? Both in complexity and volume we talked about. In future or in today also, some organization may struggle to deal with the increasing number of cyber threats, right? And how to defend against them, right? Large volumes of log collection, analysis, and monitoring. It's not an easy task, right? Intercepting phishing attempts, right? Again, how do you do that? Predicting new attacks from the past information, behaviors, right? With certain threat profiles. How do you reduce the dwell time? And again, the AI model can sift through large amount of data, right, very quickly compared to human intervention, and helps you to monitor 24 by 7. So this is how AI/ML evolution in security is helping. Some of the use cases, like I spoke about, right, and they would, or they have potential to become game changers, right? Are helping to have faster detection and response time, phishing prevention and control, right? Behavioral analysis is being performed, and even the online fraud prevention, right? These are some of the use cases that will grow. That's how the AI ML is evolving, and I strongly believe it has a very strong potential both in terms of automation and uh, efficiency, and bringing efficiency. Okay, now, yeah, I think, and I just want to add that, if you look at this, there is a huge sheer increase in the volume of attacks, right? That could be delivered through automation, and we may require to automate many of these security processes now, so that time and resources could be allocated to study the shift, the trend of attacks, behaviors of the attackers. Uh, It's also AI/ML is also helping, the cybersecurity teams to tackle these sophisticated or highly sophisticated threats that could probably use similar technologies for their purpose. So it's a enabler from the security standpoint and to handle similar threats. Hmm. Uh, so yeah, here is, for your reference, I've put security skills demand forecast. We talked about domains and skills. And this is done by Burning Glass. Atlas VPN has done those analysis and published these charts. They talk about the growing cybersecurity skills predictions, right? Forecast for from 21 to 25. You can look at it. Application development security, cloud security, how it is growing year by year, right? Over the 5 year demand growth, the threat intelligence, incident response. So you see, as you can see, there's a growth in demand of these skills, right? As the landscape is changing and all those things that we talked about earlier. And I think it's a great opportunity for professionals to be prepared for these changes, make themselves ready with the skills so that they can grow in their career and help the organizations to deal or to drive better cybersecurity. There is some data you can look at. There could be more different data available. But in conclusion, right, let me quickly cover key takeaways and probably cover faster, but I'm open to questions. So we talked about how cloud computing, mobile, and IoT have shifted the security posture of the business. Says the need to secure your IoT and mobile devices, right? We talked about the domains, security domains, and the skills, as well as some of the roles, right, uh, which are linked to the skills, and how AI and machine learning is becoming a game changer from both cyber threat and cyber security. So, in conclusion, I would say that the security threat landscape in IoT, cloud, and mobile environments is constantly evolving. It is important to stay updated, informed about the latest threats and best practices. And by understanding the different types of threats and having a strong set of cybersecurity skills, you can better protect your organizations, your devices from cyber attacks. So, with that, I would say that I would look forward for your questions. We are done with today's presentation, and I would say over to you, Shilpa, and looking forward for Q&A.
Thank you so much, first of all, and thank you for your session. I hope actually the entire audience enjoyed, because we have got so many questions and responses already. So I guess the entire audience enjoyed. So yeah, before we take the just a second. Before we take the Q&A, I would like to say that our this webinar is associated with EC Council University. To take to know more about EC Council University courses and everything, please take part in this poll which is running right now. And I will take the questions one by one. Yeah, the first question, Amol, is how do we differentiate the data recovery with cyber recovery? Hello, Amol, can
Sorry,
you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead, Ritika.
Yeah, so our first question is how do we differentiate the data recovery with cyber recovery?
Okay. So again, maybe I would request the person who will ask questions to share some more details. But you know, again, cyber recovery is recovering from cyber incidents, right? So and then cyber incidents can be in different forms. and factors which we talked about. There are so many different kind of attacks that are happening. And these are not only about protecting your data or IP or like that, right? So there are different ways the attackers are attacking, and how do you recover from the cyber incidents as such? Uh, Data recovery, when I look at it, or when we can look at it, it's more of the how do we get the data back, or ransomware attacks. Let me take that example, right? So ransomware attacks where the hackers or attackers are basically trying to get access to your data. They access certain piece of data, and then or they want to get monetary benefits from it by saying that. So that's more on the data recovery piece, but that's one subset. But when we talk about cyber incident recovery, that is how I would differentiate for the overall cyber incidents. Ritika, what do you?
Thank you, Amol. Yeah, thank you, Amol, for answering that question. So our second question is, how do we secure IoT devices as we cannot install endpoint agent on IoT devices?
Okay, sure. Um, Now, and this is a fantastic question, right? Where the IoT end devices, right, may not be built to that processing power or the memory capabilities, right? Where we have this opportunity. In that case, at least the IoT logging, right? Whatever is happening, right? Again, this is um, your there are gateways, right? So these are like edge devices and the gateways. At gateway level you will have agent, but at least you are getting the logs of each of these endpoints, which will help you to identify any threat or attacks that are happening and manage that, right? And obviously there are more ways, signed images and the firmware uh, sign-ins. There are different ways you can adopt to manage this endpoints.
Thank you, Amol, for the answer. Our next question is, which all should be the baseline technical controls for a small mid-level companies?
Can you repeat that question, Ritika, again?
Which all which all should be the baseline technical controls for a small mid-level companies?
Oh, now the way I would answer this question again, right? I would say that it is not just the size of the company, mid-level or big or small, right? What kind of organization it is, what kind of data it is dealing with, what kind of customer, client base, uh, what kind of solutions it is providing, right? A small company could have huge amount of critical information, right? So you have to ensure that this right security measures in place. You cannot say that, okay, out of this 10 security measures, this is the subset that I'll implement. So I would say that each organization bases the kind of work, the devices, the products, the solutions it is providing and dealing with, right? Along with the kind of assets on which its employees and everyone is working, has to do their assessment, the security assessment, and then take appropriate measures, right? I mean, you can refer to the CIS benchmark for at least general guidance, but that assessment needs to happen organization to organization. This is the various factors. There's no one solution fits all kind.
Thank you, Amol. And our next question is, what is your take of cybercriminals taking advantage of this new AI tools like Chat GPT and others?
Okay, sure. Uh, yes, so AIML is a technology, right? And the technology is always used, right? But by both sides, right? So the people who want to take uh, advantage of someone else or negatively use this, right? Cyber criminals, and at the same time, there the cybersecurity professional can use the same technology and build robust measures. So take on this. It the cyber criminals would continue to make advance their threats, improve their ways of attacks, right, using AIML. So we need to be cautious, be better prepared, ensure zero trust policy, right, to be better prepared. But the technologies would be used, and in future, the threats using AIML would increase as more people adapt to it. And similarly, we as professionals can leverage and build very strong measures using this technology. So we need to upgrade ourselves if we are not, make sure that they're ready to deal with these challenges.
Thank you, Amol. Our next question is, what is the best programming language to specialize in other to be relevant in the cybersecurity career?
Hmm. So, okay. Now, again, if you are, I need to know, or we can look at different levels. Let's say if you are a beginner or you are still, building foundational skills, like I explained, right? Look at programming languages like Python and C, right? Java, right? At least to build that foundation, and then you can move to the advanced languages, right? So Python, shell scripting, C. These are some of the foundations you build, and then you can get into detail or advanced languages. So,
Thank you, Amol. Next question is, how do you prepare for and respond to cyber physical attacks, such as those targeting critical infrastructure?
okay, so um, again, this question it's a good question, and it would take, if you ask me, if you have to give 1 hour, we can talk about 1 hour, right, on this topic, because there are different frameworks that uh, are established, right, or each of the organizations. And let's look at zero trust. I just now talked about zero trust policy, right? So your organization can put up a framework against zero trust and ensure that the attacks are are managed, right? You looked at each of the assets, each of the areas where which are prone to attacks, and take care of it. But this is there are different frameworks, and if you just do some research, you'll find those frameworks that organizations would use. And again, each organization would customize those frameworks to their own needs, I would say. So that's how it would go.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
So
Amol.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Uh, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And our next question is, how best can companies work around digital supply chain risk?
Oh, okay, sure. So again, so digital supply chain risks. Again, for benefit of broader audience again, right? So digital supply chain risk, where this, as you are leveraging the components, right, from third party suppliers or partners, right, they can lead to different vulnerabilities and may compromise on the on your side or your customer side wherever you're deploying solutions, right? So how you are dealing with that? Software bill of material is one evolving area, right? So you are doing the SBOM analysis, right, of all your products. Look at all the third-party libraries that you are using. Are there any vulnerabilities associated with those? And fix those or get those updated libraries, right? Ensuring that the SBOM analysis is an active practice, a part of your security team, is one of the good ways of dealing with digital supply chain risks.
Thank you, Amol. And our next question is, what is the relationship between cybersecurity and BCP?
Sorry, can you repeat the last part again?
Uh, it is written, what is the relationship between cybersecurity and BCP?
Well, I'm assuming we are talking about business continuity plan here when we say
Yes,
BCP.
yes, yes.
Okay. So let's go by that assumption, right? There's so many acronyms nowadays, but yes, BCP and cybersecurity, right? The business continuity plan. Now, cybersecurity again deals with protecting your organization's assets, right? Devices from cyber threats, right? In, and again, as we talked about, there are from the business continuity plan. Now, what happens is um, that if something happens, how do you deal with that, right? So, just to give for those who are not aware of BCP, let me give a very generic example, right? So, if if uh, if your organization is situated which is prone to floods, right? How do you manage your, or how do you ensure that the business continues, right? And then you have different ways and all, right? So similarly, in case of cyber attacks, the organization's ability might get compromised, and how do you ensure continuity? So making sure that the confidentiality, integrity, and availability um, is taken care of. That's what PIE, right? We talk about that is to be maintained in terms of BCP. So ensure that the BCP is taking care of it. If it is data, how to ensure that hot and cold data is taken care of it. Um, and you can refer the identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, which is a NIST framework, right? Which gives you enough guidance on ensuring the BCP works. But yeah, it's a very good question that people have to not just look at the external factors, but also look at cyber security as an area, or security threats as an area, when they design the business continuity plans for your organizations.
Thank you, Amol. We will take more two last questions. Um, the next is, please share your thoughts on quantum computing relating in the cybersecurity, as quantum computers have the power to do calculations at much faster level.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's another evolving area, right? And in that image which we showed at the beginning in the slides, um, I had shown, that as an area, obviously it was shown. But yes, it's a very fantastic question, and I'm glad that people are thinking that okay, quantum computing is evolving. Let me put it that way, right? It is not mature today, but yes, it has ability, if right, to break the cryptography, right? The RSA, and some there are some places where people have claimed that okay, the quantum computer is breaking the RSA algorithm so faster, or right. And now again, because of the power, otherwise the algorithm would have taken years, now it is possible, or it could be possible, quantum computing to do it faster. So yes, that is going. If if you think from a threat side, people can use that technology to break the cryptography, or design those advanced algorithms to achieve that. And at the same time, I also see quantum computing, as it happens, right? As technology evolves, solutions also become more stronger. So my take is, right, again, being an optimist, so technologies are enablers, right, to achieve much bigger things. So quantum computing benefits are huge, right, and it will also help to make systems more secure, right, if they are used in the right way. So yes, it is going to be a threat area, but I think we need to be better prepared from the solution stand as well as the tools. The
Thank you,
cryptography
Amol.
algorithm. Yeah,
We will
cryptography.
take the last question.
All right,
So
great.
the last question is, please tell us, how do you manage security operations center effectively as beginner in the space?
Wow. Okay. Sure. Now, beginner in this space, is that the last comment?
Yes, a beginner at that space.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would say, if you ask me, if you're a beginner, and again, first of all, it's a good step, right, to move towards that direction. But choosing the right resources, choosing the right tools, uh, strengthening your security teams to enable them to have those skills and others. So I think it's just about choosing right tools. I think which we covered, right? For example, let's look at this. How do you choose building your team's capabilities, right, to have that strong vulnerability management and leveraging those right practices, frameworks. But yeah, I think it comes to the capability of the tool. So focusing on right capability, right training as you are beginner, and right tools to start with.
Thank you so much, Amol, for this wonderful session and answering to those many questions. Actually, we have got a good response also from our audience about the session. And before we actually conclude the session, uh, would you like to give some message to our audience?
Sure. I mean, okay. So first of all, thanks. You guys have been such a wonderful audience, and thanks for making this conversation so interactive, and thanks for all these questions. Right now, I would just say that the future for cybersecurity professional is super bright, right? And we know all the reasons we talked about. And for some of you, the future starts today, right? And we have a promising future of a better world. And I want to invite you to share it to all the possibilities to take it further together. So thank you so much for attending the seminar, and it was honor to have this conversation with you. Thank you. Thank you, Ritika and Shilpa, and the EC Council for organizing.
Thank you so much for your wonderful words and your message to our audience. And thank you, our audience, to be there and attend our session. Before we end the session, I would like to announce our next Cyber Talk session, which is understanding the role of micro attack framework in incident response, which is scheduled for January 27th, 2023. This session is an expert presentation, and it will be led by Marlene Venom. To register for this session, please do go to our website, and which is www.eccu.edu/cybertalks. The link is given in the chat section. Hope to see you all on January 27th. With this, we end the session. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.